Our next speaker is Mr. Ed Chambers, and he's in charge of the IAF, the Industrial Areas Foundation, which is a group that was formed by the late Saul Alinsky. Mr. Chambers is the author of a fantastic little book called Roots for Radicals, and it's about building successful organizations. And I want to phrase this exactly the way it's phrased on the book. Organizing for power, action, and justice. The advanced source book for achieving progressive goals. Dr. Chambers is going to discuss principles of organization that can apply to what we're trying to do in the monetary area. Please welcome Dr. Chambers. He is an honorary doctor, but please welcome Ed Chambers.
You want to stand up and stretch? Yeah. Do that, please.
Thank you.
Like 3 to 5 minutes, okay? Absolute criticals to successful organizing. One is organized money, and the other is organized people. And if I understand the AMI correctly, you don't have any money. So you're in trouble already. I started with Saul Alinsky 51 years ago, worked for him for 17 years, and when he died I took it over. And in those days, Saul did a lot of lecturing and I did a lot of work, and he wrote about it. And I published a book a couple of years ago, Roots for Radicals, which explains much better than I can in this short time. It takes me 2 to 3 years to train somebody to organize. I don't know how in an hour and a half I can do anything about teaching you how to organize. And the gray hairs are too old, including myself, for organizing. You're too set in your ways, you're patterned, and I recruit the people. I have about 140 throughout the country. We have 56 organizations in 56 different cities, and we're in Canada, and we're in UK, and Berlin, in Germany. And I have a tremendous shortage of professional organizers. We pay decent salaries, men and women, which I changed from the Saul days, where we were supposed to do this, hair shirt. Saul paid himself pretty well, but he forgot to pay the working organizers very well. And I knew for stability, you had to pay decent salaries so people could have a family, so their wife didn't necessarily have to work, etc. And so we paid between, starting at 30, 40,000, but very quickly into 65 to 80,000. Some of our senior people make 100, 110, 120. It's a full-time, it's not a job, it's a full-time profession. And if you are going to move what looks to me like a very creative approach on the monetary problems, you're going to have to organize. And you can't do that with just one senator or member of the House. I guess he's going to speak to you tonight or tomorrow. You got to go to Washington D.C. and pick a careful day when the House, both houses are in session, but not too busy. Spend time from your locales where you come from. I assume you're from all over the U.S., different states. And line up a group. We did this about 4 years ago. We got 25 members of the House to meet with us for an hour and a half. We rented a place right next to the White House, or not to the White House, but to where Congress was, and we turned out 25 people, primarily from the citizenry that was local in the state they came from. And they gave us an hour and a half. And we didn't ask for anything specifically, but you've got something very specific. You could ask for them, and you better do your homework well when you're ready to do that. It's probably an 07 or an 08 situation. The problem with understanding organizing is that you're trapped in and it's not your fault, you're trapped in two worlds. The as is and the should be. And that's all mixed up inside of us. We're not skitsy, but yet we have to decide which world we want to be in. A lot of the material about what you're trying to do is in the world as it should be. And you're not going to relate to politicians and people who can get some of the changes until you operate in the world as it is. And change is very hard in the world as it is. It takes organized money and organized people. And so you've got to get some armies underneath in each of your states who will do due diligence and mobilize. And you have rallies where you turn out 250, 500, 1,000. And you've got to be careful, you've got to be open to being multi-issued rather than just single-issued. You can't just take your belief on monetary problems and ignore other people's interest. Men and women will support one another if it's quid pro quo. You help me on this, on my school's problem, and I'll help you on your monetary problem. You've got to do trade-offs to get the voting numbers that will make the difference in what you want to accomplish. You can't just get it on the merit. You might be 100% right, but that ain't going to get the change. Now, in the world as it is, there's only one commodity. It's called power. Power is a dirty word for most people. It's got a dirty connotation. Gets you in trouble. It's bad. Too many people got too much, and too few people got too little. Power is simply the ability to act. Webster's dictionary of it. You can't live without it. You can't earn a living without it. You can't do change without some power. And the more power you got with chapters in 10 or 20 key states, the more you can do something about what's wrong with Washington. And God knows there's an awful lot wrong with it these days. And it's getting worse. Now, the trouble is that power has a counterpart. And some of you denigrate or don't teach its counterpart. What's the counterpart? You can interrupt me, by the way. What's the counterpart? Corruption. What? Corruption. No. It's a mate. It's a gift we get at birth.
Talent?
What?
Talent?
I can't hear the word.
Talent.
Talent, no.
Paralysis.
No. Love. Power keeps love accountable, and love keeps power accountable. Because we're made skitsy. It's mixed up inside of us. You got to do both. Church people understand this. The trouble is they don't understand this. The activist liberals understand this, but they don't respect the needs of people here. You've got to transcend that if you want to do change. Next thing is what makes the world go around is self-interest, which also has a negative connotation to many people. They call it, they think it's selfishness. That's the received culture. Goes that direction. Self-interest is, this is a Latin word, interesse, to be between, to be among. If you really understand self, it doesn't exist. It's a word, it's a concept. There's no such thing as a self. In order to exist, a self has to be related. Has to come through its mother's legs. It has to be born. And it needs what? From 0 day. Absolutely it needs love, and lots of it. And it needs development in relationships, starting with the small family, moving out to the school system, moving out at 18 or 19 into a society where there are no jobs. You with me? Challenge now, if you disagree. What's its counterpart? Unity. Right. What do we all want? Unity. My stuff is flying all over. I've been on the road all week, so I'm punchy. It's self-giving. What you do as parents. And we're in between. There's a tension. Runs right down here. You're more or less in one or the other. When you're trying to raise infants and young adults, you tend to be more here. But you got to work with them and develop them with inside of what their interest is. Otherwise, over here, receive culture, selfishness. Get all you can. Use people. What, do you want me to do that?
Yeah, load up my horse.
Yeah, sure. Sure. Okay. All right. Sorry about that. Thank you. Are we clear on that? Inside of us, this is all mixed up, and you're more or less in a self-giving mode, sacrificial goal, or you're in a down and dirty, what you want out of this, or with your issue, and not with the other people's issue. But in order to do something about your issue, you're going to have to relate to other people. When I say the self doesn't exist, the self can't exist. Now I'm limited. I got it. Can't exist without other. That's why when we organize in diversity. You must. There's a great book out by the Chief Rabbi of London, Jonathan Sachs, The Dignity of Differences. You should buy it and digest it. He's a man going on his 80s now. I haven't met him yet, but I will when I get to London. The diversity is necessary because that makes the self. You put the self on an island at age 10 and don't have any boats come by and give him food, drop something off, he'll be dead. You cannot live alone. Others are absolutely necessary for your development. And when you're out of that kind of relationship, you're in trouble. If you're isolated, now the next point is, for successful organizing, is the law of change. Anybody know the law of change? Same as it's in physics. Pardon? Yeah, that's one of them, yeah. The change means movement. Movement means friction. Friction means controversy, conflict. There is no nice way to get change. That's middle class nonsense. to be polite does not help you in the public life of getting change. You can't be polite. That doesn't mean you have to be impolite, but you have to pressure. You have to push. You have to challenge. You have to conflict. You have to be open to tension. And some of us aren't. We listen to our parents too much. I was raised on go to church, do good, and obey your parents. That was the mantra. Nothing about stand up for yourself. You know, and you find yourself at 18, 19, and you're not ready for that world out there. You've been hothoused with a very lovely family and some brothers and sisters, but you're not ready to take it on because you don't understand it. Law of change. Change means movement. Movement means friction. Friction means heat. Heat means controversy. Oh, but what do we yearn for? What do we really want? You think I get up in the morning and say, oh boy, I'm going to do conflict today? No. I'm like you are. Everybody wants to do what? You want unity. You want harmony. You want peace and justice. But you're not going to get it in this life. You can approximate it. Okay? That's the counterpart. You can approximate it, but you won't. You get moments of it, but you can't sustain it. Now, the other thing for successful organizing is imagination. I'll just abbreviate this, okay? Because I'm saying that's imagination, and that feeds your hope, which is over here. Studs Terkel's got a good book out on hope. In fact, he's wrote a little chapter on my book. And he's 95 now. He's going to live forever, I think. If I fall down, you pick me up? Okay. Okay. Now, it's important that if you want to organize, that you understand the dilemma you're in, because you're always more or less in one or the other. And there's behavior that's appropriate. And you can't intellectualize any of this. To wit, what percentage, they've done the studies on this, of communication, what percentage do words play in communication?
20%?
Way too high. 7%. He knows. Well, what's the rest of it? What's 53% of it? Facial expression of the person you're talking to. Face to face. So throw your cell phones out and your internets and all that nonsense if you want to communicate something. And the other 25 or 27% is the speed of your voice and the sound of your voice, the way you use your voice. Whether it's with assurance or you kind of muddle your words or you're shy about what you're saying. Those are the three things that make up successful communication. But I sense that there's a lot of academicians here and teachers. We overestimate words. And we underestimate how many brains we got. 2. Somebody say 2? Wrong. We got 3. What's the second one? Who said 2? Raise your hand. What's the second one? No. That's one. That's the one up here. The cognitive.
Heart.
Heart. What's the heart do? That brain. No, it does more than that.
Great passion.
Passion, feelings, pain. Very important. Now, what's the third one? I organized for, 51 years with the IAF, but it's only the last 10 I realized there were 3 brains. What? The gut. Now, what does the gut give us?
Emotion.
What more than that? Specifically, what does it give us? Any of you got kids? Did you do that cognitively? No, you got all your sexual apparatus. And the important value you got there is instinct. Instinct will get you everything. Most of you have good instincts. 95% of you have good instincts, but you don't trust them. Or you were told to, like I was, don't trust them, it'll get you in trouble. Follow your instinct. It keeps you alive running across these Chicago streets. So think, organize. If you want to successfully organize, you have to use the 3 brains. And the heart brain and the gut brain are equally important to the cognitive. Intuition hits the heart first, and it takes, I think, 3 seconds before it gets to the cognitive part, so that you can understand it. But instinct is just straight down and dirty, and then all of a sudden it's there, and you wonder where the hell it came from. Listen to it, follow it. 99% of the time you'll be right on the money. Occasionally you're off. Some people have bad instincts. You tell them, don't follow your instincts. You know what I'm talking about, the majority of us. Questions, comments on this so far? They can just call them out. I'll hear it. No questions. I'm going to quit in 10 minutes, and if you don't get some questions, go ahead.
I want to explain my explanation. When I was in Vancouver recently, the Dalai Lama was there.
The who was?
The Dalai Lama.
Yes, Dalai Lama, yeah.
There's a learning institute named after him, and he was speaking over a 3-day period. One of his sessions was educating the heart.
Good. Very good. Yes, he knows. A lot of the East knows a lot more about communications than the West. And I'm not an expert on the East, but there are insights, yes.
I might add
A
something.
little louder now so everybody can
I might
hear.
add something else. You need to take ownership for your own decisions, whether they are good or bad, right or wrong. Do not blame anyone, but do take ownership of your decisions. If you decide to do nothing, that is a decision.
Right,
And if you do something, that is a decision.
right. And if you succeed, you're worthy to be praised. And if you fail, you got to be, not unlike the Pope, you got to say, I made a serious mistake. I won't do that again. That's an apology.
That seems to be the problem now with the government. They don't want to take ownership of their decisions, and they simply say, I was misinformed.
Well, I'm not going to talk about Bush this afternoon. It'll ruin my day. He can't admit mistakes because he's like Cheney, who on a 1% basis, there's a book out, 1% of, what's the rest of it? You should read it, it's a good book. 1% of solution, yes, of the solution, meaning that on 1%, if you think something's wrong somewhere, you don't do the research, you don't check it out, you don't substantiate it, you act. That's preemptive. And that's what we did on Iraq. We didn't know anything about the Sunnis and the Shiites and the Kurds. We didn't want to. Cheney said we just go. If on a 1% basis, if that would help us, we'll do it. You don't have to be right. Yes, ma'am?
We spent about 3 days talking about monetary reform from our brains. How do we talk about it from our hearts and our guts?
Very, very good question. I don't know. I haven't thought about how I would organize this yet.
I can answer that.
What? Oh, okay.
What's our desire?
Well, I think you want to mobilize and win.
I have a desire in my heart to see happen what we're organizing for here.
But then you've got to start relating to somebody other than yourself. And you've got to get a body politic behind you, and you've got to get the rest of these people who do the same thing.
But where do those desires come from?
Oh, I don't know. It's a mystery. I don't know where I really came from. You got it? And I don't know where the hell I'm going either.
Desire comes from unfulfilled needs.
All right, that's one answer. Where does instinct come from? It's the creator or the ultimate reality provided us with much more than just cognition. Cognition is just concepts, thoughts, ideas. You take a good poet. There's an excellent book out now. Damn, I hope I get it right. Sherry Shapiro is the author. She's a professional dancer. And it's I don't think you can get it now. It's out of print. It's $145 too. It's a bad price, but you can get it at the library. The name of it is The Politics of the Body. There's something else in it. But it's got politics in it and body in it. And she's a professional dancer who and her husband's a philosopher, and they're kind of both in the book, although she wrote it. And she says that finally after a performance, people would come back behind stage and praise her and compliment her and tell her how much it meant to them and whatnot. So she starts thinking, I did all of that without a single word? Just by dancing, just by using my body and moving around? My body thinks. That's the theme of the book. The whole body. And you take any great art form, dancing being one of them, but there's all kinds of things that we do not use words in, but we communicate. And when you're trying to get people in and around their self-interest, you got to follow your instinct, and you got to follow your heart, and you got to get a story out of them. And I'm going to talk briefly on what we call the relational meeting, how you relate to another person. You don't relate to another person with chit-chat. You're trying to get at their center. You're trying to get at their feelings. And you're trying to get at what they think is important. And when you find that out, you can find out whether you've got a soulmate or that person really isn't interested in what you're interested in. But we'll get to that in a little bit later. Let's see, what do we do next? You got to organize on issues. An issue is something that's immediate and specific. And you must take the center to successful organizing is action. Not talk, action. And most of us aren't experienced in shaping actions. Not a conference like this, not a classroom like this, but an action out in the public where you are pressuring for change, and you have spokespeople, and you have 250 people behind you, or 175, or 5,000, or 10,000. We have organizational drives of 10 and 12,000. And it's very hard for the politicians not to come to that. But we, not like you, we start on time and we end on time. You need a timekeeper up here with the big sign. Time's up. You hold it up and everybody sees that. It's in everybody's interest to blow the whistle. You're not going to keep a mean, maybe professors and teachers that have a lot of leisure time, lay people are busy. And powerful lay people are very busy. And if you've got an 8 o'clock meeting in the evening, you better be out there all finished by 8:45, no later than 9 o'clock. You can't keep people's attention for much longer than 45 minutes to an hour. And you have to make deals with people. I can get mothers with 3 kids, she can get the neighbor for an hour and a half, and she's picked up by somebody, and then she's delivered back, and she attend the whole meeting. And so you take away the rationale, I've got my kids, organize it. Organize your private life so you can be a public persona, because you feel strong on this issue. An action must be immediate, specific, and realizable. You can't act on a problem. You can talk on a problem, you can propagandize on a problem, you can lie about your problem, but it must be immediate, specific, and realizable. So you have to figure out how you're going to cut down getting to the fourth branch of government, the monetary one, away from the hands of the rich and the powerful and the banks, and get it into the hands of at least the public officials, so we have some kind of control over the citizenry. You're going to get that piecemeal. It's going to take you 10, 15, maybe 20 years to pull it off. You can't wish it into existence, yeah.
When that flight, when that flight 232 went down, they didn't have 20 years. They had to,
Yeah, what's your point?
well, if we have a collapse in the monetary system, we're not gonna, 20 years, we'll just slug through it and whatever we have.
You slugged through it the last 20. I hope it could be done in next year. It will not. I'm trying to sober you on the necessity to break it down into serious actions that you can do things about, and then you incrementally build on it.
You're talking about community-wide change, not necessarily an emergency fix.
That's the only kind. There will be no when there's emergency. Who do you think will take advantage of it? Halliburton got all the jobs. Got it? They hired all their own people. Got it? That's what emergency allows. And the American public goes. The streets of Chicago had marches on against the war, and once the war was called, they stopped. They understand, and the W celebrated 9/11 as a salvation. I know there are no Republicans, right-wing Republicans in here. And if there are, you should change your denomination and get more with it. What? Send them home? Oh, well, no, we won't send them home. We got to convert them.
Well, aren't they two drivers of the same bus to the same school? Just switch drivers? Wouldn't it be better to have...
In your organization, you have to have the diversity. You take everybody who will take their assignments and do them, and the ones that just want to talk, you turn them around, you welcome them out. It's your organization. You have sergeant at arms, and this guy's got a trick hand. All he can do is keep asking questions, really giving speeches. And that's not going to keep your good people. Your good people won't tolerate that. Yeah.
It seems to me we got history in this country that shows that we've resolved problems like this. And while there may be people that strongly disagree with what was done during that period, I think we just have to keep, like drops of water hitting a rock, we just have to keep that water dropping on until the idea sinks into the head that since it worked in the past, it can work in the present.
Okay, I don't disagree with that. That's good. But you got to be a convert to smaller actions that will lead to your big picture. You can't get to the big picture. Change doesn't come that way. It comes in incrementally. And you'll pick up new people as you win your little victories. So you have to cut the action of winning down to pieces, small, a little bit bigger, and you keep building it up. When I say 10, 15, 20 years, I'm serious. If you don't do the work in 06, 07, and 08, and by 08 you should have, we're in 56 cities, and we're turning out the vote for 06, aimed toward 08, and we're multi-issued, and we get a bigger body politic because we're multi-issued. But with 06 coming up, practically every one of the 56 is doing registering new voters, and let's see if it makes a difference. Somebody got their hand up? Yes. Stand up and speak loud so we can hear.
I wanted you to react to, when you're emphasizing the importance of the bias for action as opposed to, conversation and reflection and so on. My concern is there are some causes which are like urgent human rights issues where the bias for action is predominant. In the area of something like monetary reform, which is so inherently complex, I believe that prematurely emphasizing action without adequate reflection and conversation might lead to, and I worry sometimes that the bane of the weakness of this culture is the slogan touting of the bias for action, which is the kind of thing that leads us also into Iraq without really understanding complexity. Complexity requires dialogue and conversation before action.
I agree, because I got action in the abstract. There's proper research has to be done. There has to be the action. Then, the very important thing is the evaluation immediately after the action. If I could figure out a way to do the evaluations without these, I wouldn't have to do them. That's where education goes on, when you evaluate. What did we do right? What we did do wrong? We had this earmarked for 150 people, and we only had 75. Do you realize if we had 150, the difference it would have made? And we critique one another, and we hold one another accountable. The top leaders go off after the act, immediately after it. 5 minutes after the agenda, they're down in another room evaluating what went on in the last 45 minutes. Yes, sir.
Forgive me, but monetary reform in actual fact.
A little louder.
Monetary reform in actual fact has been discussed and debated for 100 years. What we're now doing, in fact, is introducing complexity into what originally was a very simple understanding of we've now made it much more complex.
Well, let's simplify it so that people can understand it. I mean, you got to cut it down into people's language, that the average man and woman can handle it. And if not, you have workshops where people are invited.
Agreed.
Like for 45 minutes on a Thursday night, yeah.
That all happened.
That what?
All of that happened until the backlash, and it was driven off the field.
When was the backlash?
From 1935 onwards.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, then it's time to start changing that. Get a new thing they got to relate to. Okay. Are we clear on issue? You got to personalize and polarize when you do your issues. Some of you don't want to do that. What's personalizing? You got to name names. He named one senator in his document. He's dead now, right? Which one was that? Or House member?
Gonzalez?
No.
What's the name of that congressman who went up?
The statement. Patman, yes, Patman. Well, you need that Patman statement to shove up on some of these new young so-called liberal You need an Obama or somebody like that, and get on his case. He'll meet with you and educate him. But you need 35 of them. So you're going to get any kind of a hearing, or the press will give you publicity on it. And you seriously think about, I'd say by '08, or maybe right after '08, because it's an election year, you get into DC in '09 with 35 of your key people from 25 different states, and you deliver the Congress people for a meeting with you. And you tell them, we want you to figure out how you're going to put this through the Congress of the United States. Democrats, Republicans, conservatives, liberals.
We're looking at '07 as the beginning of a process of introduction of
Okay.
something very
Good. You got to do that. You got to do the hard work, and the hard work has to be packaged in that you've got a lot of the research done, and I think it's solid, good research. But are you the only one that knows that?
No, there's at least, will all the people who are members of chapters raise your hands so that, okay, everybody that's connected with a chapter right now,
Okay.
these people
Good.
are pretty well versed.
All right.
And in addition to that, there's at least another half a dozen or dozen people who are really specialists, Michael.
Okay, all right. I take your word for it.
For the Council of Economic Advisors of the President.
Right. But you got to get into the action, and you got to get into the evaluation after. And then you'll grow, and you'll change. And at the evaluation, you will figure out what we should have done instead of what we did. Social knowledge trumps all other knowledge because it's experiential. Experiential knowledge is worth much more than any academic knowledge. You have to experience it. And when you experience it, you own it. And that's what happens in the evaluations. And you never forget it. Not only have to have the issue, you have to cut it. That's where you get into personalizing and polarizing. Now, when you polarize, what percentage of correctness are you? 51, 49? No! You're 100% correct, and they are 100% wrong. In reality, it might be 60-40, or it might be 70-30. Or it might even be a negative. They've got the 55 and you've only got 45. But when you present it and talk about it, you are 100% correct. So one of the things you have to do is personalize and have different kinds of pass-outs other than just the intellection pass-outs. Where your local groups, and you've got some chapters now in a few cities, and those chapters should look where IAF is present and see if any people in IAF are interested in your issue, which means you probably have to run a informative sort of session for them, because they're not going to buy a pig in the poke. And your language has to be less monetary talk and some other kind of talk. And I don't know what that is, but you do, and you will. Everybody thinks they understand money. They don't understand capitalism. Money that's not in action ain't good capitalism. Capitalism comes in when money is in action. And those banks, the banks got the money? Yeah, okay. They're taking advantage of us. You know it, you got to figure out how we dramatize that. Because that affects all of us. It affects the educational system, it affects the low-income housing issue, it affects health. This country can't even get health straight. I live part of my time in Ireland. I get all my pills and everything free. I got an Irish passport. and healthcare free. I don't have to pay anything when I go to see the doctor. It's crazy. With this powerful, rich country, and we have a health crisis. I think 45,000 Illinoisans don't have any health insurance. When you go to a hospital with a serious something and you ain't got that card, that plastic, you sit there. Some people have sat all day and go home and they don't get back till the next day again. And maybe they get serviced. All right, don't get me off on that. Let's see, what do we talk about next? Issue. What was the topic I wanted to definitely cover? Don't get old. I'm 77 years old.
That's not.
And what?
That's not old.
That's not old?
Oh, yeah, it's old if you feel. I mean, you only feel.
Well, get me my short-term memory back, will you?
Some of our most active chapter leaders are in their 80s.
I thought this was going to be a young group.
It is in heart.
And I got all these gray hairs in here with me. What? You got to get some young people into this. 20s, 30s. This is their issue. You're gonna be in the cemetery when you win this thing. What? No, you're gonna do it for them, for your children. Fight like hell and have them pick up. But you got to get some of these 30-year-olds in, and they're willing to fight more, and they got more energy. Don't try it just with the intellectuals. Got it? And I'm not anti-intellectual. Don't misunderstand me.
Need a large number of postgraduates.
What?
Need a large number of postgraduates.
Okay, sure.
That adds lots, at least 1/3 of the group.
Well, and they have contacts, and they have powered people that they know in the business world. You need business people into this. And if you got a radical banker here, what? Won't he admit it? You? Good for you. Power to you. What's the bank company?
I don't work for a bank company. I'm on the other side of the table.
Ex-banker.
Ex-banker. Okay. Well, you get some actual bankers. There are some good people that are just on the wrong track. That have the same kinds of values you have, and will understand this clearly and help you figure out the strategies that in order to win it. You only need one or two, but you need them. Okay, what do we go to next? You picked up my papers, didn't you?
There was only one.
Yeah, right, okay. Just give me a minute here. You got to be multi-diverse too, racially. Very important. And that's got to be worked on. The people got to involve the Latinos, the blacks, the Asians. And you just can't do it with white middle class and working class whites. You have to dig into the communities and have chapters where you can get them. And that's generally built around a personality. And you only need 3 to 5%. You don't need 51% of the people to want to do this. A well-organized, not any 3 or 5%, but if you get 2 to 3%, the American Revolution was fought and contributed by how many people? The chauvinistic historians will say it almost got up to 10%. So you know what it was. Fought or contributed. Got it? 80%, 90% set it out. And we took the ones up in the northeast, and we stole their property and ran them up to Canada. After we won. And that was thousands and thousands of people. We just dislodged them and took their property. Because they were on the wrong side of the revolution. But a well-organized 2-3% is all you need. What happens with the others? They follow, right. They go along. And when you get 60-70% of them to go along, then you're going to win. And they will follow if they understand it and it makes sense to them. It's not an impossible task you got, but it's one you've got to be pretty sharp on. And one of the things I want you to think about is digging up some younger people in the late 20s and early 30s that have a lot of energy, and you start raising some money so you can put a few of these on a payroll for 2 or 3 years. Because without a professional organizer, you won't keep the momentum moving forward. You have to, it's important enough that you have to have a full-time person. I would not be in 56 cities and 4 countries without professional organizers. They're the ones that eat, sleep, and drink this thing. And some of you, I'm not discriminating against the 40s and the 50s, but some of you in that age group should think about changing a career. Whoever your body politic is has got to raise some serious dollars. And there's foundations out there that will contribute. But you've got to do relational meetings with them. The center is called a relational meeting. No chit-chat. No, a lot of words on your part because you called for it. You call this person up, doesn't know you. All you got is a name and a phone number. You introduce yourself in a minute and a half or 2 minutes, asking if you could stop by at a convenient time for half an hour. That's all you need. And 9 out of 10 will give you that. You can meet them at their house. You can meet them at their job. You can meet them at the basement of the church. You can invite them to your house. Whatever. You meet them in the business world. And for 30 minutes, you do a public political meeting. And of that 30 minutes, you talk about 5 to 6. And you get them talking. What makes them tick? What do they care about? Their family, a question or two about their family. And then get off the private and get to the public. What have you tried to do? Would you be interested in something centering around the fact that the government doesn't control our money supply, and is controlled by the capitalists in the business world, some of the banks and in our neighborhood. And we're going to have a little action next Wednesday at one of the banks, and we'd glad to see you there if you're so inclined. When you do 3 of these with the same person, you will lock them up, and you've got a new worker. You've got a person that's going to give you 5 to 7 to 10 hours a week. Yes?
You know, what just strikes me is home mortgages. We could probably get to a lot of people about home mortgages.
Amen. Amen. Sure you can. People have a self-interest in this. People are getting squeezed. We're not earning much more money than we did 15 years ago. And it's going to get worse. And we're cutting out a lot of jobs. They're going to Asia. They're going to India. They're going to... I get in trouble on the phone when the bank person calls me and says, "What country are you from?" And they fudge around, you know what I mean? And then they finally confess it's India. And I said, what are you calling me for here in Chicago? That's too far. Oh, well, I represent Citibank. I says, yeah, sure you do. Didn't give me my money, did you? The relational meeting is our treasure, our weapon, and that's what takes me 2 to 3 years to train somebody to do that right. What we tend to do when we meet with somebody is chit-chat. You go to their center, their spirit. What are they about? Find out if they belong to a church. You find, because you know somebody else in this neighborhood that belongs to the church. And you ask them, do you know Joe Johnson? No, I don't, but maybe I do. There's a Mr. Johnson that's a member of our... Why don't you meet with him and see if he's interested in this? And I'll get back together with you in about 2 weeks. Is that okay? You are soliciting and lining people up for your cause. And there is no substitute for a face-to-face, a one-to-one, not a 1-to-2, not a 1-to-3. And leave technology out of it. Technology will not help you. Your face and your tone of voice and your sincerity and eye contact will make all the difference in the world. That's how come we got hundreds of thousands of people in organizations. And our organization pay dues. That's where we get our money from. Anywhere from $30,000 to IAF to $70,000 a year, every year. And we're in the 32nd year with a number of them. And they last because it's an organization of other organizations. You don't go reinvent the wheel. If you get a person that belongs to another organization, they can probably deliver the key organizational people behind your cause. Particularly if you indicate, well, we'll also work on some of the things you want to do. Am I clear on this? Okay, but you don't think in terms of people that are key in other organizations, small organizations. I'm not talking a congregation of 800 or 2,000. You take some of the Catholic and the Lutherans and the Episcopalians, they got big congregations, a place like Chicago. They got lots of leaders there. But they're only centered generally in church work. And good people will do church work for maybe 3 or 4 years, but then they get sick and tired of it. It's just repetition, and somebody else can do that. We got a lot of congregants that can do that. I don't want to do that. I want to challenge. This is a challenge to reflective people. And your middle class people will eat it up, black and white and Latino. And they can deliver their followers. You don't believe me?
I believe.
Well, that's no good. I know you do. You got to put a face other than his on this. I got to read your book now.
How long you got?
Well, he is wordy. I told him I'd pick on him a little bit. He is wordy, and you've got to take those same texts and get them to a professional, what do you call him? Editor.
That's what Michael told me.
That's right. And the editor will figure out how to say that in a dynamic way. My book is too much me. I didn't get it to the right editor, but you'll hear my voice in it.
Oh yeah, I like it.
Yeah, that's right. No, well, I didn't want
Maybe it's the same point.
I didn't want anybody messing with it. But I have chapters on each one of these points that I've touched on slightly today. But don't get in this unless you want to make something happen. There's no fun in just talking about it. You're absolutely correct. So there's can't even get a big argument there. Where we want the arguments over is you have to do relational meetings to the opponents. This is for the opponents, for the senators, members of the House. Who is buying their time? corporate America. And when the bankers understand what you're up to, they're going to crush you. Try to. They're not going to let this wonderful racket they got be broken up. And you watch your senators, who've got all millionaires, by the way. Obama, for 6 months, whatever it is. They buy them, lock, stock, and barrel. And that's why things stay the way they do. And the Democrats are as bad as the Republicans. And unless we can get the money out, or some kind of control over it, and you can only do that from the local base, and you get a crack every 2 years or every 6 years, then some of you got to think of running for office. Yes?
Should we pay the senators $2 million a year?
Well, okay, if they would be clean, yes. But how are you going to keep them clean? They know 8 ways to get money to them. They send it to the wife, or they send it to the cousin. They're clever.
So $2 million wouldn't be nearly enough.
No, it wouldn't be enough. Not when the banking industry and the medical crowd and the pill crowd. Watch out for that pill crowd. They're going to kill us. They now got a pill that you can take. You know how you have a little trouble going to sleep? They got a pill now you take. Just pop it when you roll a few times and you're not going to sleep. Take this pill. They are after us. We're here because our forefathers and mothers didn't have pills. You got it? And that doesn't make me anti-good health. Okay, unless you got questions, I'm going to close this up. I would say that if one last thing is that you should pick 5 to 7 to 8. I can take up to 15 for 4.5 days with IAF trainers on how to go about organizing. And they can get all the theory down then. But it seems to me you have to have some job opportunities for them when we do that. Because some could be volunteers, but you've got some good ones that have to have income. And you can start them at, $30,000 a year. And you give them a year-long contract. And I can tell you which ones to hire and which ones not to after 4.5 days. Because I know what to look for. And I know the kinds of questions to ask them. So you should think about whether you want to do that. Because if you don't, it's like when you got something wrong with your heart, you want the heart specialist, you got it? Now, when you've got something that you're important about, you need a professional organizer. And I don't mean, everybody calls themselves organizers. No, when I say professional organizer, people that got track records where you can go and check them out. United Power for Action and Justice is one of them in Chicago. We're also in Lake County and DuPage. And they do things, they make things happen. And they've got troops. What you really need in order to score are many, many duplicates of yourself. They're out there. And they're ready. And if you'll flex a bit, you can get support that's already organized to help you. They might not jump when you want them to jump, but they'll figure it out. Yes.
Before you sit down, I want to say that everything I ever before you sit down,
I'm going to leave.
I want to say everything I ever learned about learning, you demonstrated just as well as could be demonstrated in the circumstance that you are now in.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, I appreciate that. You can do it. You got people that'll help you.
couple of more questions.
Okay.
I've got a couple myself.
You
All
said
right, let's
that-
get them out.
You said that this organization is a career, not a job. How many hours should a person expect to put into it? Not specific
As a-
hours, but general hours.
As a professional organizer,
Yeah, as a week.
45.
Okay.
50 when it, you know, when there's a crunch. And sometimes we work 32 hours a week. We take a month off. We have sabbaticals. I have 3 people now on 3-month sabbaticals because they've trained somebody else. The organization goes on. But all the troops are volunteers. They don't get paid anything. And they pay us dues. I think your basic problem is I don't know, and I said on the phone why you don't have money. I would say your first job is to organize some money for yourself.
Well, our funds basically come from book sales and from
Peanuts.
these meetings. Yes, peanuts, right?
Real money.
Well, that's one of the things we want to learn.
Or one of these, there's money out there. Foundation work. They need a new ID.
I called MacArthur Fund just before the meeting because I wanted, I found out they're in Chicago. I thought, well, it's a great opportunity. I'm going to invite them to send someone here for free just to get an idea about us, to
They
find
gave one of
out,
our organizers one of their awards.
find out if we might qualify for their awards. And,
What'd they say?
well, I was pressed for time, so when they got this answer, I didn't spend much time with them. They said,
I'll fire you. You don't do it face to face, body to body.
Oh.
You're trying to do it on the phone.
yeah, and he said,
You can't make love on
you're
the
right.
phone. What makes you think you can raise money if you're on the phone?
And what he said was he couldn't, he said, we're more interested in matters of human rights. So, and we don't see how that's connected with monetary reform.
What the hell is it?
Exactly.
Human rights.
So I was rather busy with organizing the conference, and that was the end of that, but I'll go back.
You've got to have some people that will, morning, noon, and night, eat, sleep, and drink your cause, and be out there building chapters. And you have to pay these.
We need to get funding from, I guess, a number of sources.
Yes, but the foundation world is, first of all, it's.
They're still giving.
They're making more money than they pass out, and that's against the law. And that's because they're tax exempt. I have $1.5 million reserve fund. Okay? You know what their reserve funds are?
Billion.
Yes, billions. I don't give out money. We have a sponsoring committee that we build before we even go to the city. We don't build it, we make the city leaders build it. And they put up $250,000 or $350,000 before I'll give them an IAF organizer. And then they gotta start paying him. And they gotta give him a 2-year contract. So we don't go into, we can be a lot of places, but we don't go unless that local group can raise that kind of money, and they raise it.
That's what we need to find out how to do.
Okay?
I'll be in
Think of
touch
some
there.
people and potential organizers that should take some of this training. We do it 3 times
I
a
can
year.
think of half a dozen right off immediately.
Where are they? Are they here?
Some of them are here, yeah. Most of them are here.
All right. I'll be out in the hall if anybody wants to chit chat with me about that. Because I'm after organizers. If he doesn't pay you, I'll pay you. Don't steal my people. Well, they might steal That's why I'm gonna have to leave it my value.
Where are we here? Look. Coffee break time. Okay, let's take a coffee break. We come back with Glenn Martin.
I ever
On?
Eric?
Eric, before you sit down,
I'm going to leave.
I want to say everything I ever learned about learning, you demonstrated just as well as could be demonstrated in the circumstance that you are now in.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, I appreciate that. You can do it. You got people that'll help you.
Just a couple of more questions.
Okay.
I've got a couple myself.
You
All
said
right, let's
that-
get them out.
You said that this organization is a career, not a job. How many hours should a person expect to put into it? Not specific
As a pro-
hours, but general hours.
As a professional organizer,
Yeah, as a week.
45.
Okay.
50 when it, when there's a crunch. And sometimes we work 32 hours a week. We take a month off. We have sabbaticals. I have 3 people now on 3-month sabbaticals because they've trained somebody else. The organization goes on. But all the troops are volunteers. They don't get paid anything. And they pay us dues. I think your basic problem is I don't know, and I said on the phone why you don't have money. I would say your first job is to organize some money for yourself.
Well, our funds basically come from book sales and from
Peanuts.
these meetings. Yes, peanuts, right?
Real money.
Well, that's one of the things we want to learn.
Or one of these, there's money out there. Foundation work. They need a new ID.
I called MacArthur Fund just before the meeting because I wanted, I found out they're in Chicago. And I thought, well, it's a great opportunity. I'm going to invite them to send someone here for free just to get an idea about us, to
They
find
gave one of
out.
our organizers one of their awards.
Find out if we might qualify for their awards. And,
What'd they say?
well, I was pressed for time, so when they got this answer, I didn't spend much time with them. They said,
I'll fire you. You won't do it face to face, body to body.
Oh.
You're trying to do it on the phone.
yeah, and he said,
You can't make love on
you're
the
right.
phone. What makes you think you can raise money if you're on the phone?
And what he said was he couldn't, he said, we're more interested in matters of human rights. So, and we don't see how that's connected with monetary reform.
What the hell is it? Human rights.
So I was rather busy with organizing the conference, and that was the end of that, but I'll go back.
You've got to have some people that will, morning, noon, and night, eat, sleep, and drink your cause, and be out there building chapters. And you have to pay these.
We need to get funding from, I guess, a number of sources.
Yes, but the foundation world is, first of all, it's.
They're still giving.
They're making more money than they pass out. That's against the law. And that's because they're tax exempt. I have $1.5 million reserve fund. Okay? But you know what their reserve funds are?
Billion.
Yes, billions. I don't give out money. We have a sponsoring committee that we build before we even go to the city. We don't build it, we make the city leaders build it. And they put up $250,000 or $350,000 before I'll give them an IAF organizer. And then they gotta start paying him. And they gotta give him a 2-year contract. So we don't go into city, we can be a lot of places, but we don't go unless that local group can raise that kind of money, and they raise it.
That's what we need to find out how to do.
Okay?
I'll be in
Think of
touch
some
there.
people and potential organizers that should take some of this training. You do it 3 times a
I
year.
can think of half a dozen right off immediately.
Where are they? Are they here?
Some of them are here, yeah. Most of them are here.
All right. I'll be out in the hall if anybody wants to chit chat with me about that. Because I'm after organizers. If he doesn't pay you, I'll pay you. Don't steal my people.
Well, they might steal if they were listening.